Okay, so as an agenda, intro and icebreaker, we'll do a little welcome to our session. We've already covered most of that, which is awesome. Main topics for today, we will dive into 2025 recognition trends. So what is shaping the recognition landscape? And then we will go and dive into the challenges and practical solutions. So we're going to address some common roadblocks that we typically see with recognition and recognition programs and provide some solutions. And then at the end, we'll wrap up credits, key takeaways, and Q&A. And we encourage you to stick around till the very end, as in the spirit of recognition, we will be recognizing some of you awesome folks here today.
Awesome. So welcome, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. In this session, as Becca mentioned, we'll explore how recognition is evolving, what the data is telling us, and how you can apply actionable strategies to strengthen your programs. Whether you're just starting a program right now or looking to optimize a mature program. But before we start, though, it's important to understand why recognition matters. At Bucketlist, we continuously gather feedback to measure the true impact of recognition, and you can see some results here. Our surveys consistently showed us that recognition reduces employee intent to leave the company. It boosts employee engagement and satisfaction within the organization. So recognition is just not nice to have. It's a proven driver of retention, morale, and culture. So it's extremely important. Next slide, Jess. So to get things started, give me 1 second. We want to get you involved. We wanted to know, and I think, Becca, you're going to help us with this poll. We wanted to know which of the following options that you're going to see in the poll are most important to you and in your workplace. You should see the pop-up right now. Take a moment, pick the options that resonates the most to you. There are no wrong answers here. This will actually help us to get the conversation going. There we go.
But seeing lots of personalized recognition.
Yes, yes.
Real-time and instant recognition. So people value being recognized in real time.
Amazing. Yeah, personalized recognition is the top choice right now. Awesome. I love that. Perfect.
Hey.
And I'm not sure if everybody could see the answers, but just for everyone to know, top answers, personalized recognition, followed by manager-driven recognition, and then real-time and instant recognition.
Amazing. Yeah, does this surprise you at all, Rodrigo?
No, the personalization piece for me, it's key. The one that I'm actually surprised is the AI-driven recognition, which is, I know it's a bit controversial. We're going to talk about it a little bit. But no, the answers do resonate to what we really see with customers. Yeah.
Awesome. And if you have anything that is not in this list here that is really valuable to you in your workplace, you can feel free to drop it in the chat. Curious to see if anyone has any other answers outside of this. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to close that poll down and we'll keep moving forward here. Okay, so to talk about some recognition trends of 2025, what are some things that we are seeing this year, as well as, at the end of last year coming into 2025? So the first big trend, the shift to personalized recognition. So as we saw in the poll there, it is obviously a very valuable a recognition trend, and it's really a great one that we're excited to see on the rise. And it really matters. A one-size-fits-all approach is no longer working. Traditionally, that's kind of how recognition programs run, is just kind of the same thing for everybody. But that shift to personalized recognition is really important. It makes people feel, really cared for, really seen by their company. And employees who receive recognition in a way that resonates with them, they're more engaged, they're more likely to stay, and they're more connected. And I don't know about you, but people can tell the difference. You can tell when someone has just given you a recognition because they feel like it's something that they should do. There's probably not a lot of information in it, and it just kind of feels disingenuous. But when you receive that personalized recognition, you know the person took the time to write it or say it to you or however they've given it to you. You know that they really thought about why they're recognizing you, and the impact is so much bigger. Now, when we think about recognizing people personally, we do want to think about people's preferences. There are different ways to recognize people, and people like to be recognized in different ways. And this is important for everybody, but it's also really important for managers and leadership teams who are overseeing their teams, who should be recognizing everybody on their teams. So, for example, some employees really love public praise. They might be the type of person that really enjoys their recognition being on LinkedIn, whereas other people are the exact opposite, where they don't want their recognition shown to anybody. They would rather be recognized in a personal setting, whether that's like in a one-on-one or in like a private recognition on a platform. Some people really value tangible rewards, whereas other folks might value having something like a growth opportunity attached to their recognition. So it's really important when we think about personalizing recognition, we think about the recipient and what they would like. And if you're not sure, you can ask them. This is something that I've done with my team is I've actually asked them, how do you like to be recognized? It's not useful for me to recognize them in a way that they don't want to be recognized. So you might as well actually ask people. Now, another thing that is really interesting is generational preferences in recognition. There is definitely a difference in how people like to be recognized based on their generation. So Gen Z, these are the new folks coming into our workforce. They really value that real-time digital recognition, the social media shout outs, the instant feedback, the gamification. Of course, they're our most techie generation, so it's not surprising that they would be aligned with these types of things. Millennials, we do fit in that Gen Z category a bit as well, but also appreciate a mix of career growth opportunities. Gen X and boomers, they tend to prefer things that are more personalized and verbal recognition. Boomers and Gen Z, a little bit less on the techie side. They're much more sort of in person, face to face. So they prefer that type of recognition. But ultimately, it's up to the individual. So that's why I really encourage folks to actually ask one another how they like to be recognized, and then you can personalize your recognition from there. I'm going to go into this one here. So I wanted to give two examples here. So this is an example of a recognition um, that I want to read through here. So an elderly lady who is partially blind and cannot get around well at all came to Teresa for some work with, for some help with scheduling some testing. It was bitter cold, and the lady was going to walk home after having someone drop her off. Teresa would not let her and put her in her car, drove her home, helped her get into the house. The front door would not open, so they went to the back of the house and finally got in. Teresa made sure she was safe and secure in her home before leaving. Teresa always goes above and beyond for patients and employees, and there are several that always turn to her for assistance. Teresa is what everyone should be. She is compassionate, kind, and always willing to help anyone. We are so fortunate to have her. So just reading this recognition, how would this make you feel if you were on the receiving, if you were Teresa in this example here, how would you feel after receiving this recognition? I'd love it if you dropped in the comments how this made you feel or how you think this would make you feel. And while you're doing that, oh, yeah, go Rod. Sorry.
Such a powerful recognition. As soon as we saw it in a customer's activity feed, we knew this is the perfect example of how to be personal, specific, meaningful. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and I see here Shannon says something in the comments that I think is really important. You would feel seen, right? Can you imagine how powerful that is to feel seen? Oh, jumping ahead there. To feel seen in your work and what you've done. And the reason why, or one of the reasons why this recognition is so powerful is that it's very specific. It's very personalized. It's very genuine. the person who wrote this could have said, hey, thanks for bringing the lady home. And that would have been it. And there wouldn't have been much feeling behind it. But the person who wrote this spent the time, they were specific, they were genuine. And now Teresa, gets to feel seen in her work. And everyone else gets to read this recognition and goes, wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. So of course, when you're thinking about personalizing, being genuine, being thoughtful, giving descriptions and information is very helpful. But the next thing that we're going to look at here is personalized rewards, right? So recognition, of course, is one piece that can go, and rewards can go with recognition as well. So really wanted to highlight this reward that we had seen from one of our lovely users. So we see here that the CS manager here, Parker, got to drive a Ferrari, a dream he had since he was a teenager. So imagine that you have an employee who has a dream that they've always wanted to do this one thing. They might even talk about it, right? We just heard Becca say she's always wanted to be a New York Times bestselling author. These are the types of things that if you're listening to your employees and you're engaging with them, you're getting to know them a little bit more personally, they're likely going to start to tell you these types of things, or you're going to hear it in passing. And that's when you can really dive in and personalize this. So you hear your employees say, oh, I've always wanted to drive a Ferrari. What an amazing reward to give them is that experience. And you can see here, Parker said at the bottom, I've never felt so supported by a company. The program is a 10 out of 10. So not only does Parker have that opportunity to do something he's always wanted to do, he also gets to feel seen by his company, gets to feel supported. And then the trickle down effect happens from there. Parker's going to be more engaged. He's going to be more likely to stay at the company. He's going to continue to do that great work. And he's also going to get to benefit from the awesome recognition and rewards that he's receiving along the way. Before we move on there, Rodrigo, did you have anything you wanted to add?
All the time I try to get personalized rewards. I'm a huge golfer, as you know, and most of my redemptions actually in our platform is around golf. So yes, yeah.
Are you trying to tell me something here?
Whenever you want to give me some golf balls, please send them over my way.
That's awesome. Okay, so moving on to the next trend, passing it over to you, Rodrigo.
Thanks, Jess. So trend two, it's a bit controversial, AI in recognition. And honestly, that's totally fair. But here's the key takeaway from this. AI isn't here to replace recognition. It's here to help us do it better. Yeah. I'll give you an example. A client once told me it takes them 30 minutes to just write a recognition. And I get that. I've been there too. English is my second language. My first language is Spanish. So sometimes crafting the perfect message takes time. That's where AI can actually help. It makes recognition faster, easier, and still meaningful. We built internal tools even to analyze recognition themes for our business reviews, and we use those to spot trends. For example, we flagged in a company a sales team with very low engagement compared to other teams, and that traced back to a lack of recognition. With AI, we started discovering that it made sense. And the reason for it is sales teams are often driven by commission, work independently, and experience very high turnover. So through AI, that helped us understand the why behind that low engagement. So we adjusted the program's award structure to better align with how the sales team operated and what really motivated them. So the big picture here is AI, when it's used right, it can be a game changer for any program, for any software, for any use case out there. It helps us build habits that are consistent, strategic, and still deeply human. Honestly, it reminds me of how people reacted to the internet back in the early 2000s, I think it was. Yeah. It felt unknown, maybe even scary. Now we use it every day. It's just part of how we live and work. I believe AI will follow the same path. It will become a tool we rely on and use, but it will never, ever replace the human emotion, the awkwardness, vulnerability, the sentiment, the things that make recognition truly real and uniquely human. That's something that will never be taken over by AI. Curious to see what everyone thinks on the AI recognition. Oh yeah, Emma used ChatGPT to clean up my recognition messages. Yes, I actually use that all the time. I even created a GPT to help me craft emails a better way and quicker. So yeah, it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, is there anybody who, oh yeah, Janet's just saying that too. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Lots of people are using it. Yeah. And it's kind of like Rodrigo said, like it's going to be part of our lives, right? It's just kind of like the internet where people are gonna avoid it, they're gonna push back, and eventually it's going to be the new thing. It's going to be the way of the future. So the more that we can learn to use it to our advantage and use it as a tool, right? It's not to replace that human touch, like Rodrigo said, that awkwardness that comes from being a human, but it is a tool that can help us be better and have better things. That made no sense, but you understand.
Pass it on to you, Jess.
Awesome. I did want to just note on one, someone did say something before I wanted to just touch on. Josie, I think this was in regards to the recognition from before, that the recognition maybe would make Josie feel uncomfortable. I do things for people that I don't recognition for. So Josie, you're a perfect example of if the folks around you understand how you like to be recognized, they probably wouldn't be giving you that public recognition then. They would be giving you that private recognition. You still deserve to be recognized. Even if you don't do it for the recognition, you still deserve to be acknowledged for what you're doing. But that's why the personalization is important so that it sticks with you and doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. Okay, next one we have increasing demand for tangible rewards. Would love it for everyone to put in the chat. What would be the best tangible reward you could get? What is something that would make you super excited if you received this tangible reward, sorry. So why is this important? So employees increasingly want to have tangible rewards. They are really exciting for folks for a couple of reasons. There's immediate fulfillment. There's no activation required, like on gift cards. There's no leftover balances that we see. It feels more meaningful because it tends to be more personalized than just receiving like maybe another generic mug that you've received. There tends to be more choice and less hassle for folks, flexibility, and instant gratification. So, of course, we love to receive things here right now. That is how we are now. So, having those tangible rewards is really awesome. Something like Amazon Prime, for example. So if you're a Bucketlist user, you'll probably know this already. We have an Amazon Prime integration, and it's been a really key integration for our users as it allows folks to redeem those tangible rewards. Because it's Prime, we all know it shows up pretty much the next day. So that time for people to use the reward or engage in the reward is also so much more shortened. And on top of that, they have something typically that can remind them of that recognition. It's going to be something that's going to bring them back to the recognitions that they've received. Now, another reason why there is a higher demand for tangible rewards is the need, a shift from want to need. So, of course, we are all aware that the economy is shifting, things cost more, and there is actually a need for people to have rewards that they might need to use rather than they want. So, things like household items, toiletries, all of those types of things. So by offering these types of rewards for people, you're giving them the option to pick something that might be fun, pick something that might be enjoyable for them, but you also are opening the door to helping them in times that might be more tough. So this is really impactful for folks. And speaking of our the Amazon integration, for example, we're seeing this month over month. We actually see a 40% increase in Amazon redemptions month over month. So people really want to be able to redeem for the item specifically and moving away from just redeeming, gift cards or like I said, receiving another wonderful company mug. We see lots in the chat here. I'm curious.
Yes, a lot of comments. I loved there was one a coin for a soda. I love that personalization. Let me see where it is. But there,
Yeah.
yeah,
Spa day. Perfect. Already booked during the workday. Holly, yes, go. Go to the spa during the workday. That's awesome.
yeah.
Lunch bags, umbrellas. Yeah, extra vacation days. Yeah, those are also really nice. Office upgrades.
Stephanie, something related to my hobbies. I'm actually redeeming for a golf club next week, by the way. So yes, I completely agree. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Nice. These are great. These are really great. Kim said anything tangible we give needs to be grossed up in payroll. Yes, yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the great news is though is there's lots of different ways to offer different types of rewards, and budget is something we will talk about in a little bit as well. Okay, we'll go to our final trend that we're seeing here.
Yeah. So social recognition, right? So when we talk about social recognition, we're talking about going beyond the traditional manager to employee recognition or employee praise. It's about building a culture where everyone can recognize each other and doing it publicly if wanted, whether that's on an internal feed, on a program, on a software, a company-wide shout out, or even a LinkedIn post. These kind of recognition creates a ripple effect. Firstly, it will empower the employee. When someone's recognized in a public way, it's not just a feel-good moment. It becomes part of their professional and personal story, something they can showcase wherever they want, LinkedIn, including a portfolio, or even highlight it on their resume. It helps them build credibility and a visible track record of the impact they have created in the company. And at the same time, this kind of recognition happening out in the open says a lot about the company culture. It signals that this is a company where people support each other, and that's incredibly attractive to potential hires, right? I see that this company cares for their employees. I want to work there, right? It helps strengthen your employer brand in an authentic and a human way. And we actually want to show you a real example that happened recently. And Jesse, if you don't mind going to the next screen, there we go. So everyone, I want to introduce you to Pato Vascones. He's our Director of Strategic Partnerships. So Pato recently received an Outstanding Contributor of the Quarter award. To give you a little bit of context, we give this quarterly to an employee that raised the bar, they went above and beyond, that pretty much did all of our core values in one quarter, right? Now, what makes this special isn't just the title and the actual JPEG of the award. It's the fact that this recognition was public. It was shared across our company internally through our communication channels and even celebrated on LinkedIn publicly. That kind of visibility really matters. Pato not only being appreciated internally, but he's also building his professional brand externally. Just look at the quote there. Pato leads by example, he inspires every day and raises the bar. That's a recognition he can point to in future conversations, interviews, performance review, strategic conversations with customers or partners. So it lives beyond the moment. And that's the power of the social recognition, right? And it's a win for the individual, but also it's a win for the company. It shows the world that we do value and we do celebrate people who go above and beyond, like in this case, Pato, our director.
And I think too, when we talk about attracting new talent, like you said, Rodrigo, especially with the Gen Z generation, they're looking for these types of things. They want to know that the culture is a certain way, that these types of things are happening. So having these types of external recognition can help your company attract the new workers. The other thing I was going to say too is I would love this because then I would send it to my mom and I'd be like, "Look, mom, I got recognized," and it would just be a really cute moment. So it's a great example. I see a
And
couple. Oh, yeah.
Eileen J gave a comment there. I'll just read it out. Many of our employees don't even like to be publicly praised in-house, so there's no way we could post it externally. Eileen, one thing that I would definitely recommend though is the employees that would not like the public recognition, encourage them to actually include it in their resumes or their portfolios, because it's something that they can use, eventually, and even in their personal ways. So it doesn't really have to be public, but they can use it as something for them in the future. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so to cap off this part here, would love to share in the chat how these trends align with what you are seeing in your organizations. And are there any other trends that we didn't touch on today that you are noticing as well? Feel free to drop it in the chat, and then we'll give it a couple seconds and we'll move on to the next part. And I see Stephanie had said before, never thought of sharing on LinkedIn. Yeah, no, it's a great place to share it with everyone else. And like Rodrigo said, if you're moving on from your current place, it's a great place to help you get a new job. Elizabeth saying, okay, right now it's really just company swag. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Company swag is great too. Rapid growth, we want to have some set. Yes, yeah, Shannon. And you know what, Shannon? Shannon makes a great point here. We'd love to keep things personalized, but due to rapid growth, we want to have some set rewards for specific milestones. Absolutely. Right. We have that here at Bucketlist too, where we have department awards that are very specific to our departments and what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. We have company rewards that are specific to the company. But then the personalization can also really come in that like direct recognition that's happening back and forth. And when you give out an award to somebody, even if it is like a set award or reward, you can still personalize the message that's given to the person. So that's where, like for Pato's example, even though every quarter someone wins Employee of the Quarter, the reasoning and the messaging behind it is different. It's specific to that person. All right, what else do we have? Company swag, gift incentives. Yeah, we do shout outs. Kudos. Town hall in town halls. Valerie, that's a great point. That's amazing. Okay, we'll move on from here. You can feel free to keep dropping them in the chat if you would like, but just for the interest of time, because Rodrigo and I like to talk a lot, we'll keep pushing forward here. Okay, so the next part, challenges and practical solutions. Budget constraints. How do we drive impact without overspending? This is, of course, always a big thing, is trying to stay within the budget. And what can you do if you don't really have too much of a budget? So the thing we really want to understand here is that the recognition is the important piece. I think a lot of times companies can get caught up and we need to have really great rewards or extravagant rewards. But the studies actually show that 83% of people say the recognition itself is the important piece and it's more fulfilling than the actual reward. And that really opens up the door for you if you don't have a budget or you have a smaller budget. You really want to focus on the recognition itself. A structured program drives engagement. It doesn't matter what the budget is. It's better to have a program and not have any budget allotted for rewards, for monetary rewards. It's better to have that program than to have no program at all. We see companies be very successful with rewards of $5 a year for employees. We also see companies that are super successful that have $0 a year for rewards. And then, of course, we see companies be successful with larger budgets as well. So definitely don't shy away from having a program, even if you have a smaller budget or no budget. Now, some quick strategies here you can think about. So in terms of recognition itself, of course, having a formalized software program like Bucketlist is a really great investment. But if that's not something that's in your budget at the moment, you can look to other solutions as well. So public shout outs, Slack, Teams, other areas that you might utilize is a great way. Peer-to-peer recognition, manager-to-peer recognition, these can be done in one-on-ones. These can be done in team meetings. It can be a note that's given to a person. If you have company boards in a physical location, it can be posting a note on the board. Have a recognition board if you have a physical space where people can actually just pin notes of their recognitions. Can also think about other things like internal awards that are given out. And then in terms of low cost options as well. So of course, company swag is a great idea. And there's lots of great avenues for finding some lower cost company swag, having team celebration events, potlucks, virtual happy hours, themed recognition days, like I said, recognition cards. And then you can also think of other things that are company related. So we see companies that will offer perks like parking spots, offices, half day Fridays, vacations, things that are low cost or no cost. Now, the other thing too I wanted to note is we actually have a really wonderful PDF that does go over how you can implement a program at no cost or low cost. We will send that out to everybody afterwards. So if that is of interest to you, you can take a look at that. I just want to take a quick second here. I see lots of things in the chat. Movie tickets. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, shout outs during team presentation. Are there general so I just want to see here. Someone is Tanika? I'm sorry, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. When it comes to recognition, are there general parameters for determining what actions are appropriate, especially for those that don't see their actions as something that should be recognized? This is this is actually a really great question. And it's funny because we actually get this question in a different context a lot where people ask, why would you recognize someone for doing their job? They have to do it. So when you're thinking about parameters, it's up to you, really, as a company, what you want to drive and what you want to see being exhibited. But it can really be anything. What types of behaviors do you want people to be exhibiting more? What do you think would feel nice as a recognition? Even if it is their job, people still deserve to be acknowledged for what they are doing. How else are they supposed to know that they're even doing a good job if you never say that? So I think for your company, just sitting down and looking at what are the values of the company? What types of behaviors do you want to drive? And you can come up with some parameters around that. But I also believe that you should allow people to openly recognized based on what they see and what they think is important as well.
And that kind of recognition doesn't even have to be monetary. It could be just general shout outs. I think the best part about recognition programs is they're extremely flexible. They will accommodate to your budget, to your needs. So yeah, actually, I recommend reach out to any of us at Bucketlist because that's we're proud of what we do with how we personalize programs. So thank you for sharing that.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one.
Perfect. So one of the most common challenges we hear about is low participation. It's actually sometimes common. When only a handful of people are engaging with recognition, it's when a program starts to suffer. Recognition works best when it's a shared experience, not just something that happens in small pockets. So how do we fix that? Again, as I mentioned before, we can create a program. We structure it based on needs and budget, right? But another strategy that works incredibly well is gamification. Introducing game-like elements like points, leaderboards, milestones, progress, we call them achievable awards in our end, that can boost motivation and make recognition feel more engaging and fun. But here's the key. It has to be connected to teams, to the specific teams and their needs. A one-size-fits-all approach, it doesn't really work. Let's take an example from a sales team. I talked about sales before. I'll talk about it again. Instead of just rewarding the end result for a sales team, so basically the end result would be a closed deal, right? You can gamify and incentivize the right behaviors that will lead up to it, the closed deal. For example, you incentivize the first meeting that's booked, the proposal was sent, the demo was completed, and then the pilot or the trial is launched. Recognizing these key steps not only encourages the participation from the team, but it reinforces the behaviors you actually want to see more of. So that's how you do this. So that's sort of gamification stuff. But it's not just about gamification. Manager buy-in is very, very important. If managers don't believe or are actively participating in the program, the teams probably won't either. Every manager has their own, I'm pretty sure everybody in here knows this, that every manager has their own OKRs, KPIs. So a great idea is to tailor recognition to those goals. I'll give you an example. One of our hospitality clients, they actually aligned their awards with KPIs like service, quality, food ratings, and overall performance, right? So that is how it tied in that manager engagement because their KPIs were those three things that I mentioned before, and it tied it to recognition. And also don't underestimate the peer-to-peer recognition, the shout-outs, the friendly shout-outs between peers. When teammates are encouraged to recognize each other, not just top down, participation naturally increases. Plus, it builds a stronger relationship, which then feeds into the culture and the retention. So the key takeaway here is if participation is low, don't just push harder. Get creative, right? Tailor, gamify, involve managers, and try to make it as personal as possible.
Awesome. And I think a good point you touched on there, Rodrigo, was the peer-to-peer recognition. A lot of companies focus on manager to peer, which is very important, but peer to peer is also very powerful. Your peers tend to be the people that you work with the most and probably see what you're doing really on a day-to-day basis. So it's really important that you involve them. And like Rodrigo said before, this can be non-monetary as well. It can simply just be recognition without monetary pieces. Okay, we have one more challenge here that Rodrigo's going to cover.
Yeah. So another big challenge we see is alignment, misalignment. Yeah. Making sure recognition actually reflects your company's core values and the vision. When there's a disconnect between what a company says it values and what gets recognized, employees will notice. So the solution, make your values part of the recognition process. So encourage employees to tag a core value when giving out a recognition. In our software review, it's actually mandatory. You cannot give a recognition without a core value attached to it. Provide training so teams know what each value looks like in action. If you want to recognize teamwork, this is what you should recognize teamwork for. If you want to recognize customer service, this is what you should do, right? And most importantly, have leaders model it consistently. Leaders and then teams will follow. One easy and effective tactic, you can create awards or company initiatives that are tailored towards our values. I'll give an example that we did internally. One of our OKRs, it's related to innovation in the workplace. We actually created an innovation lab. It was an initiative where teams got together from different cross-functionally and created an AI proposal on how we can improve or create a tool to improve processes and speed. Another one is if teamwork is one of your core values, you can have a monthly or a quarterly teamwork award that recognize someone who's truly embodying that spirit, that core value of teamwork. Not only does it reinforce the value, but it also makes it more visible and meaningful across the organization. Companies that do this well will see the results. Employees will feel more connected. The teams will start operating with more purpose and cohesion, right? So everything will start to get aligned even more. So if we want recognition programs to really resonate, make sure to tie it back to your values, to your company values, to the company vision, and celebrate those values in action. That's
Awesome.
huge.
Amazing. These are great things to think about. So as you're moving forward with maybe implementing your own program, or if you have an existing program, a couple of things to think about here. Your program does not have to be set in stone. In fact, we actually recommend that it is agile and you do adjust it over time. So we do recommend that you reassess your recognition criteria. So just ensuring that it aligns with the company values, aligns with the overall direction of the program that you want to be seen, and make changes of what's not maybe working and making improvements. Have your business goals changed? Things like that. Do you have a huge influx of new employees? Have you been acquired? Like all of these different types of things are going to adjust how your program works. The second thing, I'm a really big believer in this, employee involvement in your recognition program design. Some of the best programs I have seen have had the employees involved in creating the program itself. This helps with the buy-in. People feel, okay, my opinion is valued here, and I see that actually come out in the program. And then, of course, it ensures that your program aligns with what your employees are actually looking for and what is meaningful to them. So you can engage them in different ways, whether that's having huddles where you're sitting down in meetings and asking them for their feedback, surveying people. If you're doing surveys, you can ask different questions like, how satisfied are you at working here? How often do you receive recognition? How does your recognition make you feel? Those different types of things. Now, I really encourage folks that if you do involve your employees, and especially if you're doing any type of surveying, that you actually do something with the results at the end. And that is very discouraging for people to be involved in something or be surveyed about something and not actually see any results at the end. But the more you can involve them, the more likely your program is going to be tailored to how your employees are and what they want. And then you will have a better program overall with better results. And then, of course, measuring the effectiveness regularly. So really just taking a look and seeing if it's being effective. With Bucketlist itself, like we have different measurement tools that folks can look at to gauge engagement and different areas to see if it's effective. And if you do notice that the effectiveness is dropping off, then that is a key indicator that people might not be as engaged. Now we're going to do a couple of takeaways here. We got 9 minutes left. So a couple of takeaways. Go for it, Rod.
Yeah, I'm impressed that we're on time. Amazing. Yeah.
So am I.
Yeah. Okay, everyone. So to wrap things up, key takeaways. So personalized recognition drives higher engagement and creates stronger connections. You can also overcome budget constraints, and creativity goes a long way. Manager involvement and smart digital tools are essential for boosting participation. Gamification and clear guidelines make programs more engaging and scalable. And most importantly, you don't need to overhaul everything at once. We often see HR teams wanting to implement dozens of change at the same time. And I get it. It's actually very exciting, right? You want to make a big impact. But here's the thing, change management does matter in programs like this. Start with one or two strategic, thoughtful changes. Something as simple as a peer-to-peer challenge or a value-based award, or even just start automating anniversary awards or birthday awards. Those kind of things will start to move the needle, right? And those small wins, they will create the momentum and help ensure the long-term success of your program. So remember, recognition doesn't need to be complicated to be powerful. So that's my biggest takeaway from today. Yeah.
I love that. I think that's really, really important. And to your point, Rodrigo, yes, you don't have to do everything all at once. And in fact, I always say it is better to start small, see what's working, what's not working, and then you can make those little adjustments along the way. Okay, so Becca's put up a quick poll here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how did you enjoy this session? Now, while she's doing the poll, we are going to bounce on over here. I'll give everyone a couple seconds to answer that poll. So in the spirit of recognition, it would not be well, maybe I'll just wait a second. I'm gonna be getting people to do too much at once.
And thank you, Elizabeth. Had your favorite session. Thank you.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Unless it's your first session, Elizabeth, then. I'm just kidding. Carol says, thanks. Great session. Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, such kind words, everyone. Okay, Becca, I think we're probably good to end the poll if you don't mind. Awesome. Thank you everyone for your feedback. It's really important to us so that we can know what we're doing well at and what we might need to improve for a future recognition week. All right, everyone, get your typing fingers ready. In the spirit of recognition, we want to recognize three of you. We're going to have three different questions. Be the first to answer one of the three questions. You can win one of these awesome swag prizes. I do have this mug. I love it. This can-shaped glass is the best. So just saying.
Jess, I just wanted to say, I think your screen is no longer sharing if you are still talking to a slide.
Oh, is it
Oh,
not sharing anymore? Okay, I don't know what happened there,
Oh,
but
never mind. Apparently only I can't see it. That's fine.
not to worry. Okay, are we looking at my screen again? Yeah.
I
Okay.
can hear you. Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. That's because Becca, you can't win any prizes. That's why it's not sharing.
And I see everyone's really prepared, a ton of messages. So everybody get ready. This is the best part.
All right. Hopefully, Becca, you're paying attention because we're going to need your help here to pick. Okay. For question one, what are the three recognition trends that we identified for 2025? You don't have to name them exactly how we named them, but we are looking for all three.
There we go.
Oh, it looks like, am I seeing Beth Owens might be the first one?
Beth Owens, yeah. There we
All
go.
right. Becca, do you mind noting that down?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, Stephanie says, good job, Beth. Yeah, Beth's got quick typing fingers. Okay, Beth's right. Personalized recognition, AI in recognition, and using, oh, hold on. Is that what Beth said? Now I'm second guessing myself.
Tangible rewards.
Perfect. Okay, we ready for the next one? We had to put this in here. What is the first name of our director of partnerships?
Oh, Meredith, congratulations.
How?
Yeah, less than a second. Amazing.
I thought for sure it was going to take people a few more seconds to get that one. Of course, it's our lovely Pato. What a wonderful gem he is. Pato, if you're here, I love you very much. You're amazing.
And now you're very popular, Paro.
Yes. Okay, last but not least, we got one more question. Hey, you don't have to get all of them, but what is one trending challenge we talked about today?
There we go. Shannon, that was incredibly fast. Let's see. Let me see.
Oh, Meredith says I remembered Pato because he's very handsome and looks really nice. I love that. We're gonna have to tell Pato that. Okay, maybe Elizabeth for budget.
Yeah, so many messages that I'm lost now.
I'm seeing Elizabeth Bankston for the budget.
AI wasn't one of them, right?
That was a
Okay.
that was a trend, yeah.
Case, yes, Elizabeth.
Okay, amazing. Okay, and by some miracle, we have 3 minutes. Okay, so the winners, you will Becca or someone from our team will reach out to you to coordinate what you want to pick for your lovely prize. Like I said, I am biased. This can-shaped glass is my favorite, but honestly, all of them are awesome. And then we managed to have about 2 minutes. We do have a couple of questions that people pre-submitted. So
Yeah.
maybe, Rod, maybe we can probably do one question by the amount of time we have left.
You have one, wow, because yeah, one more minute and we'll just hop over to the next session here as well. So yeah, you probably have time for one last question.
Okay, Rodrigo, do you want to pick one from our current list?
Second.
Ready? Quick.
Oh, and I'll share the development codes in the chat for all of you.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
There was one question that, especially for the times now, it was how does recognition help in turbulent times within the organization? I thought there was a really good question. And a comment here is during periods of change or uncertainty, recognition provides a sense of stability, reassurance, and the human touch, right? It reminds employees that their efforts are still valued and noticed, even when everything else feels in the flux, everything's going crazy, right? simple, consistent recognition can go a long way in maintaining morale, engagement, and retention, especially through current times. So I thought this was a really good question to answer.
Amazing. I think that's a great note to end on. Sorry, Jess, just because we have 1 minute left. But well said, Rod. Thank you both so much. Judging by all the comments in the chat, all the thoughtful responses people had for you, it seems like you had some really great ideas in there. So thank you, Jess and Rodrigo, so much for putting that together and taking the time to present. And for everyone in the chat, thank you for being with us here today. Really appreciated the participation, and I hope to see you in the next session, all about building award-winning cultures. So hop back on to your lobby, and I'll see you in the next one.